I've stopped using social media for quite a while now. I don't play video games anymore, and I barely even use my phone, to be honest. And initially, I was scared that if I wasn't connected, I'd feel bored, feel like I'm missing out on life and forgetting about the people. But actually, the opposite happened. I've discovered that technology in general is a trap that is robbing me of my attention, my time, and my energy. And this is why in this video, I walk you through what it really looks like to adopt a digital minimalism lifestyle and to put that in place so you can do it in your own life. In the US, 90% of people aged 18 to 29 use social media daily. And the thing is that when 90% of people do something, it makes it normal. It makes it scrolling on your phone for 3 hours the norm. If it's the norm, then you tend to follow it and not to question it because it has been adopted by the majority of people around you. And so even the dumbest of the behaviors, if it's replicated by enough people, will become normal and conventional to your eyes. That's the danger of uniformity. But if I'm honest, I've never really enjoyed social media. I've always felt like it was that overwhelming experience online that was just putting me in a rat race for likes, followers, and potential virality one day. And the only platform that I've really truly enjoyed is YouTube because it promotes learning and the freeness of information. That's the reason why I'm still active on it. The rest of those platforms, I don't use anymore, or I just don't care. And I remember the day I've decided to close my personal Instagram and to delete my Facebook account. I was frightened. Okay, my stomach was so tight, I felt like I could throw up at any moment. And in my mind, I had those racing thoughts that were telling me that if I do that, if I delete all my social media accounts, people would think I'm weird and people will not become friends with me. At work, people would think that I'm forging my identity because if they look online, if they want to hire me, for example, there's no social media account to back me up, and therefore I don't have any credibility. It was kind of pathological in a sense. It was like a psychological addiction fueled by a profound fear of being rejected and to feel like an outcast. And the worst thing is that technology will do that to you. Technology, in the way it's been designed, will push you to become addict and stimulate your basic belonging needs as a human being, but in a digital realm that doesn't even matter or exist. And it took me kind of hours arguing back and forth with my brain to deactivate my accounts. But after that, a sigh. After that, it was an instant relief. After I clicked on the delete account button, relief, because I didn't have to compare my life to the lives of thousands of people anymore. You see, initially, the thing is that those apps were free to make it accessible to the public, which was a good idea. But the problem is that at some point they had to start making money because otherwise they wouldn't be able to afford the power, the houses, the warehouses for the servers and everything. So they started making money with ads. That's what happened with Facebook. Okay. And that's when the retention time became their best tool for money making. And it doesn't just apply to social media. It's technology in general. TV is like that too. The more time you spend on it, okay, the more money they make. That's why there's so many ads during the Super Bowl. Now, here's the first piece of advice I want to give you. If you're thinking about quitting social media, you have to expect your mind to talk you out of it because it will feel abnormal at first as you're not doing the same thing as other people are doing. And again, expect this to happen. The reason being is that these days, most of our social behaviors are online and not in real life as much. And human beings are very social creatures. And so your brain really doesn't like the sound of you disconnecting yourself from your tribe, okay? The problem is that for your brain, your Instagram has become the equivalent of feeling like you're part of a community, even though that's online and not the same as meeting with other people in real life. Your brain is transferring that need and identify that need onto the digital world. So that's why it will discourage you as much as possible to quit this world, because for your brain, it means that it's the equivalent of disconnecting yourself from the tribe and just being in the wild on your own, fighting lions and zebras. And this is what happened to me. For weeks, I felt hesitant about making the move. And when I did it, I kind of felt like a part of my social identity had died in the process, which is why I felt so bad in the first place. And I think this is the reason why you should do it, if you're thinking about this, of course. I know it feels difficult. I know it feels maybe even daunting, and that almost no one does that. And so this is a great opportunity to separate yourself from the herd of sheep and to craft your real social identity if you wish to do it. One that is not dictated by likes, comments, and the views that you get on your social media accounts. So rule number 1 is don't let digital social pressures and expectations dictate your behavior and what you should do with your life. And at that point, you may be feeling that after all, it's not so bad, okay? Those social media platforms, they have their downsides, but that you can still chat with your friends and see what the celebrities that you like are up to. But from where I stand, there are 2 main reasons why you should consider at least leaving social media. First is because of the time that you spend on it. And the second one is more psychological, and it's about the content that there is on these platforms. And I spoke about this before, but I think it's mad, the number of hours that people spend every day on social media. Hours that I used to spend on social media too. Hours that will last forever. You cannot go back in time. You can only wish that you'd have used those hours in a different manner. And in your life, you probably feel like you're out of time, busy, stressed, and late. That's what I experienced with most of my clients. Everyone doesn't have that much time because people are busy and they have a job, they may have kids, they go to school, they do this, they do that, they have this hobby, whatnot. But think about this. This would not happen if you were to stop using some of those technologies, or at least reduce the frequency or the intensity and the length of your uses. Because think about the time that you spend on your phone every day, for example. Because after I stopped using social media, what happened is that I stopped using my phone, and my screen time was cut in half, which instantly, in a matter of weeks, freed up 2.5 hours every day. That's just crazy. I went from 4 to 5 hours to like 3, like 2 and 30 minutes. And that's just incredible. And these days, I use my phone less than an hour per day. So just imagine how much it compounds over time. I freed up, in just one decision, I freed up 4 hours of my day, every day, for the rest of my life. That's just the best move you can make with the highest return on investment. And if you were to do that, you have the time to exercise. You have the time to go out with friends you miss. You have the time to learn your language, to learn new skills, pretty much do whatever you want. Spend more time with your kids even. Now, not only is it technology stealing you of your time, but it's also stealing you something as important, maybe even more important, which is your attention. Because time is worth nothing without attention. And imagine for a second, that's a pretty interesting comparison to make, but imagine going back to the Renaissance period. You ran into those people that are trying to elevate the human heritage to its limit, okay? People are painting magnificent murals in walls, while other people are writing books or poetry that is going to stay with us for thousands of years onward. Would you give those people that are trying to elevate the human heritage a piece of paper, a piece of metal and glass that dings every 2 minutes to get them to open it and become absorbed by the last thing Kylie Jenner said, preventing them from ever reaching the true work and true potential in their lives? Because I would not. And even that, they would probably not even care about this. All that to say that if you want productivity, if you want more awareness, if you want more presence in your life, if you want more potential and fulfillment, then cutting the major obstacle to it should be your first priority, and that has to start with the way your attention is being consumed by the technology that you have. And I can't believe all the productivity content that there is online, all the magical systems, do this, do that, Pomodoro technique, whatever, hack your brain. Meanwhile, the only real and only hack there is to turn off your phone, put it in the other room, and start working on your laptop with just one tab open at a time. Now, the second thing is that the very content on this platform, whether it's TikTok, X, Instagram, it can be detrimental to you as a result of either the negativity or the constant push for comparison that you experience when you're on those. Because being in contact with constant misery of the world 24/7 is not what you exists and not what you've been put on earth to do. The news on TV, the geopolitical conflicts on X, and the omnipresent images of disasters broadcasted to you every day are not good for you, okay? And I'm not saying that you should close your eyes on what's happening in the world. With that being said, psychologically speaking, it's going to be destructive if you're in constant contact with the pain and misery. And when it's not even that, then it's just going to be influencer content that is only directed by algorithms that want you to consume as much as possible. But I'm not gonna extend on this point because you probably can sense that it's not good for you anyway. Because I remember I felt miserable after a 2 hour scrolling session. I felt like my energy had been flushed out of my body. And like after that, any activity that you try to do after using social media, or like it goes the same for Netflix, is not fun. Nothing is interesting after that, and all you want to do is go back to scrolling or watching and binging Netflix episodes. So rule number 2 is technology has been designed for you to be addicted to it, and it doesn't care about your well-being. If your current relationship with technology is close to addiction and you want to get rid of it, the plan is really simple, honestly. Now, disclaimer, I won't prescribe anything. I won't tell you what you need to do. I think you should figure that out for yourself. But everything that I'm about to say are suggestions based in my personal experience. The most important thing is that you should be the one designing your use of technology, not the other way around. And in my life, I've decided that I wanted to stop using social media. I wanted to stop video games. I wanted to drastically reduce my screen time in order to replace it with more healthy habits, because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to replace it with reading. I wanted to replace it with playing the piano. I wanted to replace those behaviors with walking, for example. And the hardest step by far, getting rid of social media, is the social aspect that I talked about before. But besides that, it's really not that hard in terms of like the complexity of what there is to do. And I was sick and tired of feeling like I was wasting a third of my day on things that don't matter to me in the long run. And that's what kept me going, even when I would encounter someone that would ask for my Instagram, and I would just reply like, I don't have Instagram, and them looking at me like I'm a psychopath. I'm so sorry. What I'm telling you, the reason why I'm telling you this is because you will need a strong enough reason as it to explain to your brain why you're doing this, because no one's doing it and your brain doesn't even like the sound of it. So you need to have that constant reminder of why you're doing it, your reason why, in order to make that shift possible in your life. I decided that it wasn't normal and that I should not follow the typical path if the typical path is being on TikTok for 6 hours, because it doesn't make any sense in my life. Because you just end up wasting your own life, but really slowly and gradually. And as humans in modern societies, I think we have a tendency to accept things that are considered as conventional and not to question them when they're like when the majority of people have accepted them. But I think it's a mistake. I think you should always question the behaviors that you're engaging in and your ultimately your reality. So that's what I suggest. I suggest that you go 30 days at least. I did 60 days, and then it's just I was just never stopped. But 30 days at least, and try to aim at going beyond that. Consider it a technology detox or like a dopamine detox or whatever. But if you commit to it, the thing is that you have to fix yourself a clear goal that is restrictive and stick to it as much as humanly possible. You have to reduce the one behavior that is most limiting your life right now. So for you, it's if it's social media, then limit social media use. If it's video games, then limit video games use, whatever it is. An example of that is maybe you cut down your social media time to only 1 hour. Limit yourself. That's the most important thing. The importance is in setting strict limitations when it comes to your technology and respecting those boundaries for an extended period of time, long enough for your brain to figure out that this is a better way of living than what you're doing right now. And if you do that, just know that you'll be confronted to boredom. You'll experience it firsthand and you'll have to put up with it. You will have to rediscover what it feels like to feel bored and maybe even lonely. And that's why I think so many people use so much screens all the time. It's because they want to get rid of the negative emotions of that life is composed by. So rule number 3 is this: you're the one in control of your will. You can limit the technology use if you want to. Now, everyone that I've been saying sounds like a cost. It sounds negative. It's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to experience boredom, social rejection, so on and so on. But now we're really talking, because the beautiful thing about going for digital minimalism and getting rid of the excess time that you're spending on devices is the time and the attention that you'll unlock as a result. Think about this. All the things that you've wished you had enough time for are going to be possible. Things like going to the gym, trying a yoga class, learning how to cook, writing a book, I don't know. And if you commit to your strict technology policy for at least a month, not only you have more time and more energy, but you also probably start to regain back motivation and maybe even a better overall mood. And if you don't know where to start, I will always recommend that you start with physical activity. To use the newfound time that you've just unlocked to start going to the gym and build your body. Because in my opinion, it's the best starting point if you want to reinvent your life, as you have to learn discipline. And the best way to learn discipline is through the practice of regular physical activity. Now, I always suggest going to the gym because it's the most accessible and the best sport there is if you want to shape your body. But you can go for any activity that you enjoy. It can be swimming, climbing, cycling, walking, whatever. Cycling, biking. Now, that said, if you're interested in starting your journey when it comes to going to the gym and shaping your body, then you're probably going to be interested in fitness autonomy, because that's everything I know about how to start condensed into one single thing. And if you give your technology detox a try, you'll be amazed at how much you can accomplish during the day. And the funny thing is that the less technology I use, the healthier and the more fulfilled I feel and I am. And I'll never stop telling people to reduce their screen time, their use of social media and whatnot, because that's what's going to lead you to improve the quality of your life. Anyway, that's my take on it. You do whatever you please at the end of the day. You're the one deciding for your life. But as always, I hope this helps. It's just a process.